Oi, 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 YouTube. It is great to see you today. Thank you guys for being here. Unclench your jaw, get some water. We have a great video. It's a little bit lengthy. Now, this is a newer Ghostface player, and a newer Ghostface player is going to go against newer survivors. This Ghostface player 4Ks in this match, but there are a lot of things to talk about with regards to optimizing on using your ability and directional pressure and all kinds of other things. This is a really good video with regards to discussing not just relying on opponent mistakes to win and practicing good habits early, because if you keep 4King as a killer without practicing good habits, your MMR is going to go up, you're going to get matched against better survivors, and you're not going to know what to do, and it's going to suck, and it's going to not feel good. There's a lot of learning experiences in here. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Please hit that subscribe button, all right? 85% of you are not subscribed to the channel. Let's see if we can flip that statistic around to like 80%, just a little bit. And of course, thank you guys for watching this video. I will be praying to the entity to see you guys either on my Twitch channel or in the next video. Beginner Ghostface build. So I don't know necessarily where they spawned, so that's kind of hard to review this whole match because I don't know. They certainly didn't spawn here. You never spawn looking at this barn. So I'm not 100% sure. But regardless, we'll take a little bit of a look here. I think they stealthed up the minute that they had Whispers. One thing you can do as Ghostface is you can do what you do as Pig a little bit, is like you can use Whispers with Monitor to know when you should stealth up and stalk, because Whispers is a fairly large range, and Monitor would shrink your terror radius down to be smaller than the Whispers range. Whispers 2 doesn't cut it though, but anyway, weird factoid. Okay, good job. So the thing about stalking you want to be sure that you do is you want to lean and stalk. So there was a moment here where the prompt for leaning came up. And let's see if we can get it here right here. So if you lean and stalk, so if you walk up to an object that has a wall that's like taller than you, you can lean out and stalk. And somebody might need to get the specific information for me if you're in chat. But when you lean out, you stalk a ton faster. When you're standing and stalking, you don't stalk as much. They really want you to lean and stalk because that's kind of the gimmick of Ghostface. So if you'd leaned here, I think you maybe would have almost fully stalked her. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Stalking without leaning is really, really slow in comparison. Okay. And then this is the other thing about Ghostface specifically is you fully stalked her. Like she has, if I were guessing, this is about 20 meters of distance on you, and you're going to fully stalk her. And the kind of problem with that is now she'll be exposed, right? So she'll be exposed and she'll be running from you. But the bad news here is the exposed is on a timer, right? So the insta down is on a timer. And the more distance they have from you, the more likely it is that they could just hold W and run out the timer. Like at this point, she could probably hold W all the way to the shack and outrun you. So the ideal thing to do would be to try to stalk her quite a bit and then maybe chase her down, maybe don't chase her, and then, wait, but stalk her. And then the next time you see her, when you're really, really close, pop stealth, stalk her the rest of the way. It's called 99ing your stalk, right? So you'd get it like almost all the way full. And then the next time you see her, you pop it real quick and you just down her really fast. Like you run up on, it's like Trickster with knives, right? I always say get really close when you're Trickster and then use the knives. It's the same as like Ghostface and Myers. You get really, 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 really close to them. You pop stealth, you stalk them, you fill the last little bit of that meter, and then you just insta down them so that you're not wasting time. Because at this point, you're gonna stalk her all the way. And I wonder if you even get this down. So that's something to be really, really aware of, is you want to really wait on using the rest of that stalk. Because now she's definitely, yeah, she's going to run as long as she can. It's double the speed. Okay, stalking, leaning from cover is twice as fast. Okay. Okay. She put herself in a really bad spot. She actually might go down here. She doesn't make that window, I don't think. Oh, she makes the pallet though. Really good stuff. See, this is kind of what I was talking about. She can literally hold W all the way. And now you can kind of see, now you're just on a new target. Okay. So this is a big deal. You don't want to do this. So I've talked about this a lot. And I think this is really important to go over. You don't want to stop a chase to kick the gen. You don't. And let me kind of draw out why that is. So let's draw. So say this is the gen. So it's going to look like a little spider Lego. So this is the gen, right? And then we have shack over here. And then you have the window, the door, and the door. It's not 100% right. Hold on. Window, door. There we go. So right now you saw there was a survivor that went this way. It looks like both survivors went kind of this way. So you're going to go over here and you're going to kick this gen. When you kick this gen, what happens? All right, chat. Do you guys know the rate of regression on a gen? It's about 4 to 1. What that means is that if a generator takes 80 seconds to repair by yourself, it will take about 5 minutes to regress. So this gen right here is at about, 50%? We see 2 pistons firing right now. This is really important for new players. The amount of pistons firing is indicative of the progress on the gen. If 2 pistons are firing pretty well and the third one's starting to fire, then that means you're at a little over 50%, 50 to a little bit higher than 50%. If one piston's firing really hard and the second piston's just kind of like starting to get there, then you're above 25%. Each piston represents 25%. So at this point, it would take, if you kick this gen, it takes 2.5 minutes for this gen to hit 0. And in that time, you are breaking away. You're going to kick this. These 2 survivors are going to go get on a different gen, and you're going to have to find them again. Or the worst case scenario is you break away, you come kick the gen, somebody goes get on a gen, and then these guys just come back, right? Because for a survivor to stop a gen from regressing, they can just tap it. They don't have to work on it, right? And so what you're probably going to see is that you're breaking away from a good chase, right? So you're wasting 7-8 seconds to come over here. You kick the gen, which takes 2.6 seconds. So you've wasted 10 seconds. And now you have to go find somebody. And the minute you leave to go find somebody, they're going to come in and just stop the gen from regressing. So the best pressure in Dead by Daylight, unless you have like Pop Goes the Weasel or something, right? The best pressure in Dead by Daylight is a survivor on the hook. Unless you have Pop Goes the Weasel or something like that is about to expire, you do not want to stop a chase to kick a generator. It is not conducive to progression necessarily. Okay. Xander, thank you for 10 months, dude. Happy November. Happy November. Happy not Halloween, I guess. Thank you, man. Thank you. Welcome back to the greenhouse. You beautiful bud. I hope you're doing well, brother. We're doing a little gameplay review real quick. So let's go ahead and continue this real quick. So you don't want to stop to kick the gens. Okay. So Whispers is going off. Yeah. Nobody's back here. I'm not sure why we think somebody is back here. I'm not really sure what the thought process is on this. Yeah, I really couldn't tell you what the whole thing is here. Ah, okay. So you saw the icon that was like, hey, you're being revealed. So this is the really important thing about Ghostface until they eventually fix him, which I don't know if they will. This icon that you saw show up isn't always right, but you also have to be really careful on when you choose to follow it. So what happens here is you're going to kick it, and then it's actually on the far side right now, which means this is actually not in the back corner. It's kind of to the right of the generator. This is kind of tough to know, but it's a little deceptive. You got to be a little careful with it. Remember, you have Spies from the shadows as well, which while you're in this area, if somebody were moving around, Spies would let you know. Just like that. Okay, so nobody knows you're necessarily here unless they have Spine Chill or just use their eyeballs. So one thing that I would encourage you to work on is slowing down and looking at the scratch marks a little bit more closely. So as we kind of approach here, we see these scratches. There's no scratches here, right? Which means that nobody went that way, which is good. You have a bunch of scratches here, right? And so logically, you would think to yourself, okay, these scratches seem to go this way. So from here, where would they go? They would go here, or they would go here, right? But unfortunately, we don't necessarily follow that same logical path. And so you look this way, which is fine. And then you don't. There we go. And see, so now we see some of this. This isn't the end of the world. This isn't the worst thing. Without spies, though, I wonder if we would have caught the survivor right here. So I'd be very, very careful to just follow those scratches just a little bit more closely. We'll see how this goes. They've definitely seen you at this point. They're definitely doing the most. Okay, another spies. No, not spy. I don't know what that was. Maybe just a missed skill check. Okay. Okay, so you have to be really careful here. Okay, really, that was good. Good job, you caught him. You have to be really careful here. It's really, really hard to mind game this tile. This tile is a long wall jungle gym. What that means is it has a long wall here, and it's got a short wall here, and then here's your pallet, right? Mind gaming this from this side is not usually plausible, right? Especially at a medium to high level, right? You may be at a level where survivors kind of fall for this stuff. I mean, this guy panicked and he ran out and around at you. But be very careful. Typically, you want to just go around or just break it, right? So while this worked for you here, I would keep in mind that this isn't going to work for you consistently. You don't really want to fake going around. There's no threat here. The survivor could just stand at the pallet and vault it when they see you approaching. Or they can literally just leave, right? If they really see you commit, they could just bounce. So be careful not to stick around this area too much. You know, the best thing you could do is like try to show your red stain in a different direction and then come back to break it. This person panicked, but you don't want to rely on the survivors panicking. You want to always assume that they're going to do really well and just outplay them. Yeah, he definitely freaked out. And, you know, the good news is that works well for you. You know, you'll get your first hook here. So that's really good. That's solid. You got Thrilling Tremors. Now, Tremors is going to give you info. I'm excited to see if you use that info. Okay. So I think you were chasing the Nia, which I think is the right call. Again, you definitely, when you go to stalk, you're going to need to start using corners a lot better. So this Nia is actually not looking behind her, ironically. She's literally not looking behind her. And I know that because you're able to stealth up and she doesn't reveal you. So at this point, it would have been more beneficial for you to get to this rock here and then lean out. You would have stalked her twice as fast, and then you would have been able to come up over the hill and drop down on top of her or cut her off or whatever. So be sure that if you go to stealth, try to get to a point where you can lean out a little bit and use that cover. She's clearly not looking behind her. You'd be able to see her face if she was looking behind her. And she doesn't even start to reveal you. So this is a good play. Going up to the top of the hill. Okay, that was not too bad. The one thing you don't really want to do as Ghostface is get on the top of the hill and just stand up straight, because other survivors can reveal you. And if that person had revealed you just like a second sooner, you wouldn't have been able to get this easy down on Nia. So remember that when you're stalking, you actually want to be very sneaky, because unlike Myers or Pig, you can be pulled out of that stealth. And so you need to almost be protective of your stealth and be very smart with it. And going up to the top of the hill, not a bad idea, but remember to crouch. Remember to use your crouch function. And like I said, get that 2-time stalk so you can get a lot more done before you get revealed. If you are going to, stalk in an open area, try to lean out. Be sure you're leaning out and using that maximum effectiveness. This is really smart. So you know that somebody unhooked here recently. And so you're kind of checking this area out. This is really good, like, game sense to try to do, because they could have been healing under the hook for all we know. People on the hook can reveal you, so you do need to keep that in mind, that being stealthy while near somebody who's on a hook is dicey at best. Okay, so we see a little Spies. Okay, I heard her running. You heard her too. Good. People in chase who you're chasing typically can't reveal you. It's really, really difficult if it happens at all. So, and I don't know that I hate that you M1'd her. What you will notice, in case you didn't notice it, is that when you M1 as Ghostface, any of the stock progress you have goes away. And so this is where you have to play towards the greater future with Ghostface, right? So getting a 99 stock and then, breaking the pallet and leaving. And next time you see her, then you just pop it, M1, really quick hit. So remember that when you M1 somebody, you lose all your stock progress. Just keep that in the back of your head. It's really, really important. I don't know that I hate that you hit her there. She's at a really strong tile. Getting a full stock on her maybe would have been tougher than it's worth. She went all the way through. So I don't know if you realize it, but this is really smart because you're corralling her. So this is the map right now. So this is the corner of the map, and then this is the barn you guys are in. And you, the killer, are forcing her into the corner of the map, right? This is the corner. So she can't just what you don't want to do as a killer, and I don't know if you're doing this on purpose, but if you are, this is amazing. But if a survivor is here, you don't want to just chase right behind them, because what you'll end up doing is giving them free access to just leave, right? If you're the killer, you want to sort of play almost goalie, right? Like the rest of the map is what you're trying to defend from, right? And you want to keep them kind of pushed directionally into this area. Now, eventually there may come a time where you have to, kind of try to get around a pallet or get around a window, but you're doing something really, really smart here and pushing her into the corner where she really necessarily isn't going to have an easy time getting away. That dead hard validation. The good news is it gave you, so with dead hard validation, it is tough, but it gave you the missed hit cooldown instead of the hit cooldown, which is good. So Thrilling Tremors giving you a little bit of info. So unfortunately, you have to remember, especially at lower MMRs and lower skill ratings, this is an LOD. One of LOD's perks is fuck you with a pallet. Yeah, so Elodie has a perk that allows her to throw a pallet down after she's had quite a bit of wiggle time. I'm not inherently sure that that's necessarily what happened here, because they have to wiggle, I think, 30%. So if she got 30%, that's kind of insane. But keep in mind, you just don't walk through pallets if you don't have to. There's just no need. It's going to be a really good vault. Yeah. Now, unfortunately, because you broke the door this way, there's a second door to your right, actually, that you could have broken. But because you broke this door, she now gets access to the rest of the map, and you're going to give her a little bit more freedom than maybe she deserves. So that's tough. That's a tough one. You're learning, though, and you have a lot of really good tendencies so far, so just there are some really good things to keep working on. You got that Windows audio. Got to be very careful in the corn. Okay, so you're on mouse and keyboard. You're not on controller. So when it comes to swinging, literally just wait, right? Like, at this point, I mean, yeah, this should have hit. She just got a little bit of movement that caught you off guard. If you would have waited, 0.2 seconds and just hit her here, you'd be closer. The closer you are, the harder it is for them to spin, right? So if you're the killer here and the survivor's right here, when you go in for the lunge, right, the survivor can kind of fishtail a little bit, and the ass end of your attack can kind of miss, right, fall a little short. However, if the survivor's right here, and say they move, I don't know, anyway, right, the tip of your lunge is, even if you turn, right, you'll be able to catch him. So it's really about the last 0.5 seconds of your lunge. So just if you're worried about if this is a consistent problem, I don't think it is. I haven't seen evidence that it is. But if it's a consistent problem, literally just wait half a second longer before you swing. Wow. Yeah, the whole nobody's on gens right now. So I think the important thing to know is one person might be on a gen, but everybody else is just grouped up right here. That's really, really good for you. So I hope you're not feeling too much pressure because you're in a decent spot. So one thing to remember with survivors is when they go to unhook, so if they're unhooking, you can grab them off the unhook. I think you were trying to wait it out. I almost feel like your mouse sensitivity is really, really slow or something. I'm not sure because you didn't really adjust back here. So there's something going on where like you could have grabbed him, but like somehow he juked you. Even though you're on mouse and keyboard, he juked you so hard that you lost a lot of momentum. This isn't going to be a good idea. That's why. It would have been better because she has borrow time. If you was okay, bad players will typically unhook in front of the killer's face with borrow time because they think borrow time gives them a license to ill. So what would have been better, knowing that he had borrowed time on her, it would have been better to hit him and then just chase him and down him. Because even if you do down her, like, yes, she has to mend for 12 seconds, but he's still alive. Like, this is hardly, worthy exchange. Ideally, you'd want to go for him. So, and this is like a big shout out, like, if you're a tunneler, she has borrowed time, so you wasted a hit there. And then if she has D-Strike, you're going to waste another like 30, 40 seconds downing her and then the stun time. So it's a lot better. You already hit him once. You could have hit him a second time before he made it over here, but instead you stuck around to hit her. So typically go for the person unhooking. It's just going to save you a lot more time, and it's going to result in a lot more pressure. Yeah, and chasing her is not the play. There you go. I mean, I'm glad you didn't tunnel. I think you have like a good head on your shoulders there. If she has D-Strike, it's a bad news. He might get to the pallet, yeah. Nope, you need to break that pallet. You really can't play around it. Wow. This James has got himself in so many problems. Going forward, just be sure that typically what you want to do, I know I keep pausing a lot, but typically what you want to do here. So if this is the jungle gym, right? So it's a long wall jungle gym, and it's actually backwards. Here we go. Okay, so this is the long wall jungle gyms. That's the pallet. That's the window. So typically if this pallet's down and the wall of the map is back here, you don't want to break the pallet on the inside. Like, you, the killer, don't want to break it facing the inside of the map. You actually want to try to rotate out. Try to push the survivor back into the tile, right? So by you rotating out, usually the survivor is going to also go back in, try to play it. Once you rotate out, then you'll break the pallet on the inside. On the inside facing the outside. Because at this point, if you could get the survivor to loop back in here and then you break the pallet, sure, they might be able to run, but they're going to run to like the sides. They're not going to be able to just get free reign to like the cow tree or something like that. So again, just directional pressure is really going to be smart here. This James keeps making awful mistakes. You just don't want to count on their mistakes. You want to be sure that you're outplaying them. Okay, so we got tremors. So no gens are being worked on. You definitely need to break that pallet. Be sure that you do cleanup. Before the hook or after the hook, you've got to do cleanup. That's a really strong pallet that if you don't break it, it will probably get used against you. Good job, like kind of hearing it and being able to directionally track it. That's a really important thing to do. Good job. I wonder if they're healing at the hook. Oh, they're healing out here in the corner. Okay, so this is a really important moment where you could have stalked the Nia probably fully. So always keep your eye out. But right here, when you saw them, it would have been really smart for you to stalk on this wall and lean out and stalk. Because if you lean out and stalk, well, the Nia can only go this way. So you cut her off, you get the insta down, you hook her, done, right? It would have been way more efficient than hitting her once and then chasing her and hitting her again. Be really efficient with your stalk. Again, you don't want to go for the James. You want to go for the Nia. You've already hooked the Nia too, so it's not like she's a bad option. This is effectively tunneling the James out, and this sucks. And there's really no reason for it either. At a higher level of play, every survivor you go against is going to have Decisive Strike, and this will have been a really ineffective waste of your time. Right now, you don't get punished for it, but later on in your Dead by Daylight experience, you will. And we always wonder as killers, why do survivors always run D-Strike? Why D-Strike every match, D-Strike every match? And it's because of matches like this. When they were worse players, they got tunneled all the time, or they got knocked out all the time. You had an obvious choice. You could have stalked up and hit the Nia, and you chose not to. And so we don't, if that's how we behave as killers, we don't get to complain that they bring perks we don't like. So always keep that in the back of your head. If you don't like DS, then don't tunnel people. There's a reason it exists, and there's a reason people run it. Yeah. You're really not stalking at all at this point, and I think you've lost confidence in your ability to stalk. Ghostface, like, at this point, you're kind of just an M1 killer. Like, you're kind of worse than Trapper, except you have some, like, you have no terror radius, I guess, right? But you're kind of not using your actual ability, and you really got to hunker down and figure out how to use that. Because at a high level, Ghostface doesn't get away with being just a basic M1 killer. He has to really optimize his ability. And so it's not going to be a huge problem now, but if you keep getting some W's as your MMR goes up, you're going to find that you need to play better. And I'm not saying you're playing poorly, but you'll need to overcome survivors that are going to feel dauntingly strong. And it's because you're not using your ability. So if you want to learn how to optimize it, you got to start now instead of later. Really good job tracking through the corn there. That was really good. Yep. It's just unfortunate. Let's see how you handle Shaq. Okay. Push her into the corner. Okay. Pretty simple mistake on her end. Pallet's already gone, so. Nope. Stalking with Ghostface is standard. It doesn't get faster, or you don't stalk more the closer you are. Nope, it's just a standard flat rate. Okay, there you go. You waited to get closer. I think you had whiffed a few times that you were not willing to miss again. Okay, decent job kind of sussing out what she was doing there. Really, really good stuff there. She's not playing the tile at all. Good. Yeah, and like I said, you're not playing poorly, but right now it's a game of who makes the most mistakes, and the survivors are by and large making the most mistakes. But as both sides learn to make fewer mistakes, you will quickly realize that you can't rely on their mistakes. You have to outplay them. The person on the hook can reveal you. You got to be very aware of that. Yep. Person on the hook revealed you. Some Scrastic say there's a survivor there. The haste pumpkin coming clutch. She'll 100% double back. Nice. You doing okay?
Yeah, I just want a hug.
What are we gonna eat today? It's
I
not
don't know. I'm
fast
hungry.
food. Yeah.
I'll probably just have one of those like frozen things.
I don't think I have any more.
I guess I could order something like salads or something. Oh.
Yeah, is there something good we can order? Yeah, I got it.
Yay. Yeah, I can look at like
Okay.
vegetables, something.
I guess you guys should. My partner came in, so we paused.
Oh, we're cute. Yeah.
I'm tired. Bruce, hey, calm down. No, that's too much. No. 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 Sit. You can sit, but we're not doing the yelling thing. Stop barking. If you want to play, I could play, but we're not doing the barking thing. Good catch. Good catch. We're just not doing the barking thing. They love your hair. Yeah, I don't know what to eat.
Salad stuff.
Yeah, we just gotta order Is there a place you could order a salad?
Yeah.
Salad with I gotta have protein. I can't just have.
Salada.
Like I'm not. Yeah. Like if they do delivery, salada would be good.
Yeah, I'll look up places and tell you.
You know, it'd be really good. Oh, but it's.
What?
Like a wrap from salada, but I'm like it's a wrap, so it's not like maybe the best thing.
Oh yeah, because a giant tortilla that's like 400 calories on its own. That's bullshit.
God damn it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll find like a place.
Look how sad this girl is.
Yeah, that sucks.
I mean, I watered her, but she's sensitive, so she gets overwatered super fast. When I looked it up, they only need to be watered like every 2 weeks. But I think the temperature changes and stuff are like being weird. But there's like 7 new leaves that are coming up, so she's not dead.
No. Probably just like pulling a bunch of the energy from these old leaves to get these new ones out. She's like, I don't know.
I'm gonna play unpacking here a little bit.
Fun. Okay, have fun. I'll let you. You're done.
Can you get me a water?
Mm-hmm.
So that when are you looking at food? Like soon? Please do.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna fill up with water.
Okay.
Ash actually did all her hair by herself, which it doesn't have like an even tone all the way through, so you can kind of see it. But okay, I guess we're gonna hop back in here. Yeah, what I was gonna say about this is you let the Elodie get the free unhook by being on the other side of the pallet. You should have pushed her away from the pallet. So, and that's the directional pressure that killers just always sort of have to be aware of is when you play. Like, it would have been really good as she goes this way. It would have been really good for you as killer to break the pallet facing that way so that she has to run past you. She's going to make less distance. She either has to run past you to get to the unhook or she's just going to keep running that direction. And typically, the cranberry is the way to go. Thank you. And typically, like I said, like this isn't going to be make or break, but just being constantly aware of your directional pressure means that you're going to always be like way better at it. And trust me, directional pressure like makes or breaks matches a lot. Quite often. Yeah, like she ran all the way by you. At this point, what you could do, like if you really wanted to, like it might be tough, but you could actually sit here by the tree and stalk the Elodie all the way up and get like an M1 down pretty quickly. I don't think you will, but you could have. That is a weird option. Now, typically, I don't know. This is up to you. I'm going to pause it again. I know, get mad at me. But here, like, there's 1 gen left and there's only 2 people. There's no risk of, like, you losing this match. I don't do the slug for the 4K shit because as a survivor, it's boring. This girl just gets to sit on the ground and do nothing for a while. I'm not trying to impose how I play on you, but I am encouraging you to think about the other side. This girl's just going to sit on the ground and do nothing until you down this girl, hook this girl, then like that sucks. That's annoying. My favorite way to play Dead by Daylight is I would have gone for the Elodie, let her run off and do whatever, hook the Elodie, then tried to find her, and eventually it becomes a hatch game. And exactly what Firebrand in chat said, if Elodie had borrowed time, then you just wasted a bunch of time anyway. So that would have been like the suboptimal play. So that Elodie really did a great job there. Good stuff. I don't think she makes it. Unless she has Dead Hard, which I doubt it. Nope, yeah, she does. You could have... Oh, man. That's tough. I don't think you would have hit that. It would have been close. I like that you're strafing, though. You have to break this pallet. Yeah. Not breaking it and wrapping it around it has hurt quite a bit. Oh, man. That was a really good Dead Hard, too. That was a really good Dead Hard. She's getting you. This is a really good example of why you should not leave this pallet or pallets at jungle gyms down at all. Like, you should not leave them down. This doesn't matter so much because it's like the end of the match and you pretty much secured the win. But, like, imagine if this was like 3 gens remaining, 4 gens remaining, right? Oh, my God. This would have caused the whole game to unravel for you. Like a 1.5-minute chase. Oof, you know? If she has D-Strike. Yeah. Bad play. If she had D-Strike, you would have lost her and had 2 people to chase. It worked out for you this time, but I really want to encourage you to remember that because it worked out this time doesn't mean that it's a good practice. It means that they were ill prepared. And as you start to climb, and I think a lot of killers do this, they find things like people that are in like your gameplay bracket will always down the person and rehook the same person. And then when they get to a higher level of MMR, they go, oh, everybody runs D-Strike. It's such a crutch perk. Instead of adjusting their playstyle, they get really mad at the perks that are brought to combat their playstyle, right? Like if you have a playstyle and D-Strike and Borrow Time counteract that playstyle, you need to switch your playstyle, right? You can't brute force that. It's not going to work, right? And I'm not saying this is going to be you, but a lot of players know exactly what I'm talking about, is they do this stuff and then they get mad at D-Strike, they get mad at Unbreakable, they get mad at Borrow Time because they keep literally trying to brute force through it instead of playing around it. So right now, it's not a big deal because a lot of them aren't going to have Decisive Strike. A lot of them aren't going to have Unbreakable. And some of them are going to have Borrow Time. But as you get better, as you start winning more, because if each match that you get a 3K or higher, your MMR is going up. So as your MMR rises, you're going to run into people that have D-Strikes and you're going to go, I just can't play. They're all just gods. I can't play against them. They're all too good. And it's like, maybe you need to adjust your play style. So I'm telling you now, before it slaps you in the face, the hitting the person who was just on the hook and then rehooking that's bad practice, and you don't want to get caught doing it at a high level because it will waste all of your time, if that makes sense. Remember that this Elodie's wounded, right? So you're looking around a bunch of areas. She's wounded. You would see blood. You would see blood pooling on any of the areas you just checked. So remember, if you don't see scratches, you can check for blood. Even if there is Shadow Step right now, Hex Shadow Step doesn't, or Boon Shadow Step doesn't get rid of blood. So also, she doesn't have Iron Will. She's very loud, I believe. It's a hatch game. Yep. It's a good window. She gets access to the other window or the pallet. I think the pallet's the wrong call. I think you could have hit her there. I would have tried it. What happened? Why did we do that? She's healing. Yeah, you got to pressure. Interesting. She kind of played herself a little bit. Hey, what's up, No One? How you doing? Okay. So this is kind of what we talked about earlier, right? You kind of gave her access to the entire map, right? So what happened here, this wasn't bad to break this. I think this was smart because you're pushing her, you're forcing her this direction into this corner, right? Like super smart idea, right? But then you go around and you give her free access to leave and run to the middle of the map. So let's take a look. As you chase her around, all right, this is good, this is good, this is good. All right, she's gonna hit that window. You don't want to go this way, because what happens if you go one way? Well, she's gonna go the other way, right? It's the law of opposites, I feel like, in this game. Like, if the killer goes one way, they're gonna go the opposite. They're not gonna run into you. So what you would ideally want to do is actually swing out this way, and this will push her towards this back area, right? Because hopefully in the perfect world is she would continue to try to use this window somehow or just run out of options. And so you want to try to keep her from getting to the middle of the map where she could just hold W and run all the way across the map to freedom, right? So remember that you want to, wherever you go, they're going to go the opposite direction. So try to push them into disadvantageous areas with your presence, right? Because here you go right, and they're going to go left, and then boom, middle of the map. Now, in this case, you're very lucky that this has the tractor here instead of the cow tree. But if this had cow tree instead, oh my God. And if the pallet was still up, it'd be a really tough one. Yeah. And keep in mind that, like, this is the end of the match. So the stuff I'm telling you maybe feels less important because you're like, well, I win anyway. But if this happened at the beginning of the match, this stuff is incredibly pertinent and extraordinarily valuable. So kudos on the 4K. I think that you did a lot of things throughout the match that were really, really smart. Some of the directional pressure was really, really good, but I think consistency is lacking pretty heavily. I think I would work on being directionally aware. And the good news about that is you could take that and apply it to any killer, whether it's Trickster, Huntress, Pyramid Head, Doc, whatever. That directional pressure is going to push people where you want them to go. The second thing to keep in mind, if you're going to play Ghostface more specifically, is really use that exposed status effect, that stalking, to your advantage. You hardly really did any of it today. And I feel like at the beginning of the match, you were like, oh, I'm going to use it a few times. And it took you a really long time to get the stalk. So you were like, whatever, I'm just going to go hit them. Remember that you can lean in stalk. And as Ghostface, you really have to lean, pun intended, into that. So those are the two things I would work on, is your directional pressure and chasing. I'm sorry, your directional pressure and stalking. Remember that hooking people is like the best pressure in the world. So don't leave a chase just so you can kick a gen, unless your Pop Goes the Weasel has 15 seconds left on it, right? The best pressure in the world is getting somebody on that hook. And the big reason for that, and I love talking about this, but the big reason is you want the team to always be busy. So say this is going to be a hook, right? So say you have one person hooked. Well, now somebody has to go for that unhook. And if you're chasing, right, if you, the killer, are chasing somebody else, well, then guess what? Only one person's on a gen. All right. And if you can keep that pressure up, that means only one person's on the gen for most of the match, right? That's extraordinary pressure, right? Because like now the person you're chasing, this guy, well, now he's on the hook, right? And so now like this person has to go unhook them. And then you chase this guy. And this guy just gets to sit on gens, right? Like you always want to keep 3 people tied up and interacting with you somehow, right? Somebody unhooking, someone in chase, so that only one person's on a gen. And that's where your slowdown perks can really shine, because you can, oh, this person's been the only person on a gen. Well, you kick him off the gen, you use Pop Goes the Weasel, then you go chase him, So you always want to keep that trifecta. That's sort of like, I find you, I chase you, I hook you, someone now has to unhook you, and I get into another chase immediately. And that's where like Barbecue Chili, Thrilling Tremors information is really, really strong. But that falls apart if you're not using your ability as Ghostface, right? Like Trickster and Huntress get the benefit of like being able to down people really quickly at a range. Ghostface doesn't have that. He does have an insta down. You kind of have to learn how to make that investment. And if you start getting 4Ks a lot without learning your ability, you're going to hit that brick wall of survivors who are going to mock you because you never learned how to use your ability. So anyway, really good match. I think you had a lot of really good tendencies there. Even though you weren't using your ability a ton, I think a lot of stuff worked out very much in your favor. And I would encourage you to just keep going, keep at it. I think, like I said, you did a lot of really, really good stuff there.